So on the bottom of your paper, I want you guys to write 2 definitions down before we begin, okay? So the first definition is rigid motion.
We can't see.
You cannot see. Okay, let me fix it. Alright, so, okay, rigid motion. What is a rigid motion? Okay, a rigid motion is a transformation in which the shape does not change size. Okay, if you think about the word rigid, like if your teacher is rigid, they're probably like strict, right? They're not probably willing to like change or like bend the rules, right? So like rigid when it comes to like the math definition for transformations means that the shape is not changing, okay? Its size isn't changing, okay? Now, which transformations does this happen in? Well, all the ones we've been learning about so far, right? When we translate a shape, does it actually change size? When we slide it, does it change its size? No. When we reflect it, like when we flip it, does it change its size? No. And what about if we spin it, when we rotate it, does it change size? No, okay? So all of these are considered rigid motions, okay? We also have what we call non-rigid motion. Okay, if it's non-rigid, that's like the opposite then, right? So non-rigid means a transformation in which the shape changes size. Okay, so what kind of transformation does this happen in? Because we haven't really gone over any like this yet. Okay. Yeah, I heard someone say it because I think you guys actually touched on it last year in math. It was called a dilation, right? Okay. So take a moment to write that down. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look at a couple practice problems, okay? Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be combining some sequences of transformations. All the ones we're doing today and all the ones that are your homework, they're all going to be rigid motions, okay? Tomorrow we're going to work with dilations a little bit, all right? So what we're doing today is we're doing a sequence or a series of transformations. So what we want to do first is read the problem and look at what transformations is it asking us to do. So in the first problem it says draw the image of a triangle ABC after a reflection over the line L and a translation along V. Okay, so it's asking me to first do a reflection over L, and then after that we're going to do a translation along vector V. Okay, so let's go ahead and start out by doing the reflection over line L, okay? So everyone go ahead, take your trace paper. Let's trace over the line of reflection. Trace it from arrow to arrow. Okay, so then when you flip it, it's going to line up exactly. Okay, let's trace over the shape. Here was A, B, C, all right, so now we want to reflect, so let's go ahead and flip and line our line of reflection back up. Okay, so now can you guys see where your figure is going to go? Okay, so let's go ahead and locate those points. Okay, so this is C prime, B prime, and A prime stayed on the line. All right, so there's your figure. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we've done the first transformation. Okay, now we want to do the second one. So what is the second one asking you to do? Translation along vector v. Okay, so if I want to do a translation along vector v, I need to first go to vector v and figure out what instructions vector v is telling me to do. So I'm going to start here and go this direction. So do I have to go right or left? Right, how many spaces? 4. And then up, 1. Okay, so this vector is telling me go right 4 and then go up 1. Okay, so from every point here, I'm going to go right 4, up 1. Right 4, up 1. Right 4, up 1. Okay, now, these points, I'm tempted to just label them prime, but this is the second transformation. So how do you guys think they're going to get labeled? Yeah, they get like 2 little apostrophes. I call it the double prime. Okay, so A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. Okay, now, which part of this is your actual answer? The double prime, okay? So I'm going to highlight my final answer just so I know what it is, okay? And so it's this one is going to be your answer. Now, some students are like, oh, well, if that's the answer, that's the only thing I need to write on the paper. I don't need to write this one on the paper. Yes, you do. You need to write that one, because what am I always telling you guys to do? Show your work. So that one is your work, okay? So even though it's not the answer, it needs to be there. If you turn in your homework with only one shape per graph, I'm not giving you credit. You should have multiple shapes on each graph. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So are there questions on number 1 on anything we did there? Okay. Let's take a look at number 2. So on number 2, it says draw the image of ABC, triangle ABC, after a 180-degree rotation around point P. Then a translation along vector V. And then a reflection across line L. Okay, lots of things to do in this one, right? Okay, so let's start out by doing the rotation, because that's what it told me first, okay? So, you guys have been practicing rotating on the origin. Today we're going to rotate around a particular point, okay, because the origin is also a point, but this point is a different point. It's not the origin. Draw like a little cross through your point, okay, on your grid lines, a vertical and horizontal. That's going to help you to figure out when you're turning when it lines back up. Does that make sense? When you've gone 90, 180, 270. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our trace paper, okay, trace over your cross, and then trace over your figure. Okay, now this one, it's telling you to rotate 180. So if I'm going 180, I want to rotate basically, I want to turn twice, right? One and get it lined up. Does that make sense? So that's 90. And then another one would make 180. Now, does it matter which way I decide to rotate, whether I go left or right? when I'm doing 180? No. Okay, so let's go ahead and put your points of your image. Okay, are there any questions on how we did that first rotation? Catherine? Okay, so what's your next transformation you're going to do? Next it said translation along vector v. So let's go down to vector v and let's see what is our rule we're doing here. We are going right, how many? 5, and then we're going up, how many? 1. Okay, so I'm going to take every point from this new shape and go right 5, up 1. Now that's where my double primes are going to go. Okay, so I've just done my second transformation. Okay, what does my last transformation tell me to do? Reflect across line L. Okay, let's look at where line L is. Line L is this line right here. Now, if you want to, you can trace the line and trace this image and reflect it over. Flip your paper over. Okay, the other way to do this is, since it's a horizontal line, can we use counting? Is counting pretty easy here? So I can count, it's 1, so I'm going to go 1 on the other side. Now, this one, how many primes is it? So triple prime on that. Okay. And then B was 1, 2, 3, 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And then A was 1, 2, 3, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, so which one is actually your final answer? Yeah, the triple prime, right, in this one. So this one is our answer. All the other ones are just our work. Okay, and I'm going to highlight my answer. All right. Are there questions on that? No? Okay. What I want you guys to do is I want you guys to try number 3 right now. Okay, so if you want, you can work with a partner or someone around you, or you can work on your own, but I want everyone to give number 3 a try. Okay? Okay, let's start checking your steps. Okay, so first of all, our first one was reflect across the line. So did you guys all get this reflection? Okay, most of us hopefully did that right, okay? After that, we're going to do a rotation counterclockwise around point P. So what I need to do is on point P, first I'm going to do my grid lines right here, and then I can go ahead and trace that over. So this is the point that I'm rotating around. Okay, then I'm going to trace the new shape. Okay, now which direction was it telling me to rotate? Counter. So which way does that mean? Right? Or does that mean left? It means left. That's backwards of the way the clock goes, right? So I'm going to rotate 90 degrees left, which is I do one turn and then get my grid lines lined back up. Okay? So now I can see where all the points are going. Okay, so this was A double prime, C double prime, and B double prime. Okay. How many of you were able to do the rotation correctly also? Okay. All right, good. Okay. Go ahead and try number 4 right now. So everyone go ahead and try number 4. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one. Okay. First it says translate along vector V. Okay, so we need to go to vector V. Vector V tells us right 2, up 1. Okay, so we're going to go right 2, up 1, right 2, up 1 with every point, right? Right 2, up 1. Okay, so how many of you did the first one correct? The first part. Okay, good. The second part tells you 180-degree rotation around point P. Okay, so I'm going to put a cross through point P and I'm going to rotate around that point. So here's my cross and I'm going to trace the shape over. 180 means 1 and then 2. And make sure your grid lines are lined up. Okay. These are double primes, right? Okay, last, what is it telling you to do last? Translate along U. What does vector U tell you to do? Left 3 spaces. Okay, so left 3, left 3, left 3. How many? Your final shape is triple prime, right? Raise your hand if you were able to do the whole thing. Ooh, good job, guys. Okay.